Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And previously, in my last review, I did a review of the first episode, which was actually the first episode of the brand new Muppet Show, which is awful. Um, so I decided to do a. I mentioned that I was going to do a review of the original Muppet Show, so I'm going to do that for you now, and I'm going to do, which is of course the original Muppet Show, which ran in syndicate from 1976 to about like 81 or 82. And then it ran a couple more years after that in reruns because by the time that the Muppet Show ended its original production run, it was still at the height of the original Muppet movie trilogy. So, so they kept it. Um, Stations that were running the Muppet Show kept it on for a couple more years to hype the original Muppet movie still coming out. Of course, the last one was the Muppets Take Manhattan, and after that one, they pretty much stopped. And even for a little bit after that, after the original release of the Muppets Take Manhattan in 1984, and they kept it on for a little bit longer, and then a couple of weeks longer, or at least throughout that summer, and then that was it. But you can see episodes of the Muppet Show on YouTube. Um, the Muppet Show, of course, was the best variety show, at least one that was aimed at kids. Most variety shows that were starting to die out by the time the Muppet Show had originally aired. They all pretty much died out by then, uh, for the most part. But this one was strictly aimed at kids, and the only other places where you could see Jim Henson's Muppets was on Sesame Street. And of course, Jim Henson decided since the Muppets segments on Sesame Street was so popular even at that time, that Jim Henson decided to have a single show surrounded just concentrating on the Muppets and not so much the humans and Muppets that Sesame Street was. Uh, so I had this show and every show. Well, I don't remember at the time if it aired every week or every night. I think eventually it aired every night, especially when the Muppet movies were coming out. It aired just about every night, and they had different guests, a different celebrity that was hot at that time on the Muppet Show. And when you're talking about like a almost like a who's who at the time that the Muppet Show was on the air. You had uh, you even had Sylvester Stallone, believe it or not, was coming off the Rocky movies. I don't remember if he did the. I think it was at the time of the second movie that Stallone was on the Muppet Show. So you had him, you had Linda Carter, from Wonder Woman. You had Roger Moore, who was then playing James Bond. You had Lin, I think I mentioned Linda Carter for Wonder Woman. You had Jim Denver, who I think appeared on the Muppet Show a couple of times. You had one of the most popular shows in the Muppet Show history, which was Harry Belafonte. You also had Shirley Bassey, of course, who sang the song Goldfinger, and she does perform the song Goldfinger in the episode she's in. Matter of fact, the whole running gag is when they had special security because they're going to use actual gold bars uh, when Shirley Bassey sings Goldfinger. And of course, the gold bars end up getting stolen. And of course, the rest of the episode, I figure out who stole the gold bars, trying to replace it, that the company was in deep trouble with the security guys. And of course, eventually they found it. I don't remember how they found it, but they found it. And they found out who stole it. Uh, Plus, you also had other big. You had Loretta Switch from um, MASH, MASH television show. You had Rita Moreno from, of course, from West Side Story, the movie version. You had. You also talk about who's who. You also had Bob Hope. You had Gene Kelly. You had Liza Minnelli. Of course, the one with Liza Minnelli, I think it's definitely one of the better episodes. Because not only that I'm kind of a fan of Liza Minnelli, that's one, but two, they had a thing where you had like a murder mystery going on at on the Muppet Show, and which was pretty hardcore stuff, for a kids show. And you're trying to figure out who's killing these other Muppets. Um, of course, you do find out at the end of the episode who was doing it. But that particular episode was good because for one reason you had Liza Minnelli singing the song "At the Copa," the Barry Manilow song, and which is kind of unique because I think she was the only woman I know of that actually performed that song. And that is when Liza Minnelli was smoking hot. I mean, she was thin, she was, and very serious. She was smoking hot. Liza Minnelli was. You also had Julie Andrews. Of course, Julie Andrews, she redid the song from or a song from The Sound of Music. With the goat on a hill. Uh, of course, The Sound of Music and the puppet scene and the marionettes. They reenacted that scene on the Muppet Show, but instead of course being marionettes, you had the Jim Henson's Muppets. Of course, one thing that made these kids watch the Muppet Show, at least for me, was when they Jim Henson decided to have almost like a crossover thing, going on with Sesame Street and with the Muppets. What I mean by that is they took Kermit the Frog, which was Jim Henson. I mean, other than Ernie, Kermit was Jim Henson's Mickey Mouse. I mean, he performed him on Sesame Street, and he also performed him on uh, the Puppeteer and provided the voice of Kermit the Frog. And also on Sesame Street, Jim Henson also was the puppeteer and provided the voice of Ernie in the Ernie voice segments. Uh, but he decided to pick of all the puppets on Sesame Street, or that was used for Sesame Street. He picked Kermit the Frog, and he put Kermit as the host of the Muppet Show. And he's the only Muppet from Sesame Street that went on to Muppet Show. Of course, the only other bit they kind of had on the Muppet Show was the uh, Phenomenon song. You know, do 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 Phenomenon. That song, which is also that clip was on YouTube. That's the only song. I think it was the only bit that went from Sesame Street to the Muppet Show. Uh, the only song really. Uh, but for the actual Muppets or the mainstream Muppets, you saw Sesame Street. The only one that crossed over was Kermit the Frog. But all the other Muppets that were pretty much used on the Muppet Show were original Muppets that were used just on the Muppet Show, like Miss Piggy, and they created a love interest for Kermit with Miss Piggy. You had Gonzo, the great Gonzo. You had, of course, Fozzie Bear. You also had for a while Kermit's nephew Robin. You had Scooters, and of course you had Ralph. Well, kind of wrong on that. They actually did have Ralph the dog before. I think it was just before you even had Kermit. You had Ralph the dog. Before Kermit the Frog was even created, you had Ralph the dog. And I think he performed on the old Ed Sullivan show before the Sesame Street was even created. So even in the '60s, he did have the Muppets appear occasionally in other shows. But Ralph the dog was one of the original older Muppets, and he was put on the Muppet Show, and he had some bits. Of course, the Muppet Show is famous for not only the Muppets I've already have mentioned already, but they also are famous for having like these little skits, which made the show work. Um, True, they didn't have these segments on every single show, but majority of them, yes. And one of them was, of course, the Pigs in Space segment. It's kind of a ripoff of Star Trek and Lost in Space and some of those other shows. Um, but I mean, those segments don't last all that long. Maybe about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And of course, you have segments with the celebrities that actually, the majority of them either do a comedy sketch or the majority of the time the celebrities actually sing a song on the show with either by themselves or with the Muppets in the background interrupting them, or either interrupting them or singing along with whatever song the performer is doing, which is which is entertaining enough. Uh, and of course, it is enjoyable to watch the Muppet Show. And of course, if you want to see a real good Muppet Show, watch the original one from the 1970s. I think a few of those episodes that I mentioned, at least a good chunk of them on YouTube now. Especially the Harry Belafonte episodes. Just check that one out. That was very, very good. I don't like Harry Belafonte's politics, but the episode is definitely one of the better ones. I don't know if Sylvester Stallone one is on there, but I know the Rita Moreno one is. Um, I believe the Rita Moreno one is now on YouTube now. I suggest you check some of these episodes out, and you can't compare the original Muppet Show to this one, the one that's just started airing, this week on ABC. That show, I suggest all of you out there who haven't been watching this video, avoid the ABC show The Muppets, because that is god awful bad. I mean, it's not even close to what the original Muppet Show was. Doesn't even come close. I think one of the best bits that they had on the original Muppet Show was every time they have a beautiful woman performer on the show, excuse me, that Piggy would get jealous. One of the most famous ones was when they had Linda Ronstadt on there, and she wanted to sing a song with Kermit, and Piggy had him locked up in one of Gonzo's trunks. That has some kind of like fungus in it, and of course Kermit got sick from it. He got locked up in there because Piggy got jealous with Linda Ronstadt. Of course, also you had a bit with Linda Carter, and everybody wanted to become a superhero because he had Linda Carter on there. And Miss Piggy spun him out like Linda Carter did on the Wonder Woman show, and she got dressed in like a Wonder Woman outfit. Also, I forgot one other big. Speaking of superheroes, they also had one of the big, superhero stores was of course Christopher Reeve. He appeared in an episode of the Muppet Show. I think it was around the time that the first Superman movie came out, or not too long afterwards. So everybody was dressed up as a superhero and trying to be the one, and they're all being a book how to be a superhero. How to fly, how to get speed, strength, how to bend boards. Thank you. There was a motorcycle that ran by. Um, of course, you know how to bend boards and stuff like that. But let me tell you, the reason why the Muppet Show was so good is that you had the celebrities interact with the Muppets, and and the Muppets were so believable, even though you know they're not really real animals or monsters and stuff like that. But Jim Henson and his puppeteers like Frank Oz and so on and so forth who worked on the show, they made the Muppets so believable that anybody could believe they were real. I mean, that's how realistic the puppetry is, and how they acted with the celebrities and all that stuff. That's why the original Muppet Show is so good, and the one that's on. That's like the second Muppet Show that ever came out since Jim Henson had passed away in 1990, and that one, the other show was called Muppets Tonight, which was terrible, and this one is awful. It's god awful bad. Those two shows cannot compare to the original one. I'm sorry, it cannot compare to the original show. And I suggest that if you have the time to do it, check out the original Muppet Show on YouTube. If you have a chance to check it out, do it. Because that show is that damn good. Because the writing was better, the acts were better, and of course, most of the puppeteers, I think, from the original Muppet Show, either have died or have retired and are not physically able to do it anymore. So that's why this show was so. The original Muppet Show was so good, this one was so bad because of that. So that's my review of the original Muppet Show. Think, click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel. And please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And knowing you can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel. You also can go to rowdyc.com. It's all WDY.com. Check out all of Christy Moore's website, the TV trash and all that stuff. And he just did one this week, um, an overview of the Muppets. So I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon a little bit because I'm doing my own separate reviews of the Muppet Show itself. But he did a whole overview of the Muppets from Sesame Street to today. Um, so far, I haven't done. The only Sesame Street review I've done was Christmas Eve at Sesame Street. That's the only one I've done. But in relation to Sesame Street, but suggest you check that video out too. Even though it's not Christmas time, but anyway, you can check out all Chris Lee Moore's content, his TV trash videos, plus along all the other content on his website. There's a bunch of other ones. Um, because he has a lot of contributors to his site. So just check out all the videos. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.